Hello and welcome to another action-packed, exciting hour of the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Re-Watch-Along Project. This is podcasting the way it used to be and the way you like it. This show is a production of the Something Else Podcasting Network, and it is episode number 071 of Smoky Mountain Wrestling from June 5th, 1993, tape May 17th, 1993, at the Kaywood High School Gym in Harlan, Kentucky. My name is Arya, and joining me, as always, is the Tim Horner to my Bobby Blaze. It's Trey. Trey, how you doing today?
Why did you, we've talked about I'm already not in the greatest state of mind today, and then you're gonna call me fucking Tim Horner. What did I ever do to you?
Joining me is the Bobby Blaze to my Tim Horner.
That's
It's
better. That's better.
Is it?
You know, Bobby Blaze is both a gentleman and a wrestler and a mathematician. He's got a lot going for him.
Yes, yes, he is. And unlike Tim Horner, he wins a match on this week's show. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. This
Yes,
is just that's mainly what the show was about. This is mainly what we've communicated about. This is what we've been looking forward to talking about. This is the Bobby Blaze show this week.
this is the Bobby Blaze show. It is not the Blaze Bobby show. But
I blaze with Bobby.
I'm sure Mr. Smedley would enjoy lighting it up with you. You know,
Yeah, he seems like the type.
Slide
He might have
into
been
his,
stoned during this promo.
it would make sense. But maybe slide into his DMs and see if he'll blaze up with you, and then see if he'll come on the show.
Does he
Tell
have
him,
Twitter?
yeah, he is.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look this up. I haven't been using Twitter for anything other than to bitch at companies that have screwed me around.
Now, have you been using
Oh
Twitter
God.
or have you been using X?
Why is Chris Benoit trending? Do I even want to know?
Oh God, because of Hogan. Did you not see what Hogan said?
Oh, what the fuck?
You
God
just
damn it.
you just saw what Hogan said, didn't you?
Yes. What the fuck? This
Well,
fucking idiot. How can you be like one of the biggest stars in the history of wrestling and be beloved by millions of people and be such a goddamn moron?
I mean, it's Hulk Hogan. Um, let's see here. So for those who did not check this out, this is on Hulk Hogan's interview on Logan Paul's podcast, Impulsive. And it's funny that, on the wrestling news sites that I frequent, the only thing I saw mentioned was Hogan said Logan Paul should be the world champion. They didn't mention this part. And I had to double check to make sure this was an actual thing. This wasn't just, shit that was made up online, But nope, this is something that Hulk Hogan really said. This again is from Impulsive with Logan Paul, which is the dumbest name on a podcast I've ever heard. But Hogan said wrestling fans are very forgiving. If Chris Benoit can do the crap he did and the fans still love him, they're very forgiving. I've made some
Who the
mistakes in my
fuck loves Chris Benoit? What the fuck? Like, where? Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't in the mood to deal with Hulk Hogan dumbass bullshit today, and it's been inflicted upon me. But I did just follow at Bobby Blaze 744 on Twitter.
which is more interesting, or actually, it's better to do than to listen to anything Hulk Hogan ever does. By the way, the finish of that quote was, "I've made some mistakes in my life. They forgive you." This is all my fault because if we wouldn't have sent you to Twitter, you wouldn't have seen that. Although I did have a note to bring it up, so I would have brought it up either way, I guess.
I don't know if it was worse finding out that way or not.
Uh, yeah. Thank you, Hulkster. That I I don't know what for, but thank you, Hulkster. That's just you're making it easier day by day for me to regret ever being a fan.
I'm just glad that the last Dynamite I went to, it was the one where Sting announced that he was going to retire at Revolution, and everybody booed the fuck out of the Hulk Hogan mention.
I imagine you joined in.
Absolutely.
You know, Revolution is a mystery.
Full of change that no one sees.
And now insert Lemmy growling for like 3 minutes. I see the
The
line in the sand.
evolution. The evolution.
I I always thought because like Orton was the only person who really used that theme song because like everyone else had their own song, including Batista, when Batista was really nothing more than the guy standing in the back. So when Orton turned, or when they turned on Orton, I thought he would get the theme song, but apparently not. It, yeah,
You remember they turned on him, and then the next week he came out to the Evolution theme anyway. And it
I
wasn't until like the week after that that he got burned in my light.
so I didn't remember they came out the next week to the song, but that sounds perfectly believable.
Do you
Um,
remember the one time on like a SmackDown he came out to that Kill Switch Engage song,
yep,
the
this
fire
fire.
burns, and
Yep.
then like it was never mentioned again, and then like a year or two later that was CM Punk's theme.
Oh, it wasn't even a year or two later. It was like 2 months later.
Oh yeah, okay. I didn't remember the exact timing.
Yeah, because it was right before WrestleMania 22. Because didn't wasn't like he bought the rights to that song, and then Vince just took it from him and gave it to Punk.
I don't remember the story in that much detail. Maybe
Yeah.
wasn't it on some album? Wasn't it on like I don't know,
Yes,
Forcible Entry or one of those fucking albums?
it was on one of those theme song CDs that they put out. Um, uh, by the way, now that we're about 12 minutes in, I can explain to you the what this podcast is in case you've never listened to it before. And if you've never listened before, you picked a great one to start with. Um, what we do on this show is really quite simple. We watch every single episode of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, beginning with episode number 1 on February 1st, 1992, and we go all the way to episode number 200 on November 26th, 1995. We talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, the so-so, the all right, the amazing, the tremendous, the out of this world, the unbelievable, the unforgettable, the unremarkable, the one of a kind, the stuff you've already, you know, fuck, I fucked that up. The stuff you'll remember forever, the stuff you've already forgotten, and everything in between. We watch some matches, listen to some promos, and talk about some angles, and just have some fun talking about old school wrestling for about an hour. And then at the end of the show, I tell you what else is happening in the world of wrestling, because I can tell you June 5, 1993 until I'm blue in the face, but this gives you some context, and you may sit there and go, oh, I remember that? Is that what was going on? And I don't want to spoil anything for you. In fact, I'll just give you a little bit of a tease for later on, Trey. A major Japanese wrestler announced he was never going to wrestle ever again this week.
Oh, huh.
Yes.
Oh, I have a
Uh,
guess.
Okay, we'll wait till the end, and then we'll see. I'll ask you what your guess is, and we'll see if you're right. Of course, in the next 40 minutes, you could just look it up. But what would be the good in that?
I'm gonna check to see if this person in fact stopped wrestling in 1993.
Don't do
No,
that.
I guess I
Don't.
was wrong.
Nope. You're killing me here.
Hmm.
So let's go to the intro of this week's show with Bob Caudle and Dutch Mantel, and see you on the other side of that.
Welcome to another action-packed hour of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Professional wrestling the way it used to be and the way you like it. Hi, wrestling fans. I'm Bob Caudle along with Dr. Dutch Mantel. And we got an exciting hour in store for all of you fans this week. You're going to see right here during that occurred in Morristown, Tennessee. That and many, many more events during this hour. And Dutch, what's on Down and Dirty?
Another tough assignment for Dutch Mantel, but I am a man. I can handle anything they throw at me. My special guest today on Down and Dirty with Dutch, some men that I haven't quite seen eye to eye in recent months. Jim Cornette and the Heavenly Bodies will be my special guest today on Down and Dirty.
Look forward to that, Dutch. And what about our TV Beat the Champ match?
I will draw a hat. Brian Lee will make his second defense, third defense. Let's see. And I'm going to draw a name out of the hat right here. And that name is, survey says, whoa, the DWB, the Dirty White Boy facing Brian Lee today. That's a match I want to see for $1,000.
That's a main event anywhere in the country, fans. You got to see it right here on television on our Beat the Champ match. All right, we're about ready with action. Let's go to the ring.
All right. So Dutch's sign this week says kiss, and the next sign said my feet. He's been watching too much Jerry Lawler. But today, in addition to the debut of Chris Candido, we're going to look at a strange turn of events in Morristown. And yes, it was indeed strange. We'll get to that later today. And then Jim Cornette's going to be on Down and Dirty with Dutch for the first time since, Dutch sided with the Stud Stable in the feud with the Heavenly Bodies. And then the main event, the Beat the Champ TV title holder, Primetime Brian Lee, defends against Dirty White Boy. Now, the one thing they did not mention on this show at all was that White Boy was the person that beat Primetime Brian Lee back at Fire on the Mountain last August to win the Smoky Mountain title. I thought it was interesting they didn't bring that up a single time on this show.
Yeah, if you're a viewer like me, who started in February or whatever, you wouldn't even know that unless you're a fucking dork like me and looked up the title history.
Well, the title history at that point was pretty easy. Primetime Brian Lee won, and then he lost to the Dirty White Boy. And then you showed up.
That is what happened.
So we then got our first match. It is Paul Lee versus Bobby Blaze. Blaze has been here a few weeks, but this is his first chance to be more than just an enhancement talent. Lee hip tossed Blaze, and I gotta say, I did not see this before when Blaze has had his job matches, but when he was on his knees and getting up, I thought facially he looked like Jeremy Borash, just with a mullet.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
You don't see that?
I hadn't thought about it. Now I'm gonna have to get a good look at Bobby Blaze's face. I don't know. I definitely thought about his face because of the look on his face during the promo, but I didn't think about there being a resemblance to Jeremy Borash.
Well, thinking about his face and Jeremy Borash, whatever happened to Greg Hamilton, who was the WWE announcer who looked like Jeremy Borash before they actually hired Jeremy Borash? He was the announcer that Shane McMahon would have do the Best in the World entrance, where you'd have to hold the.
They've had so many generic, nondescript looking white dudes over the years that they cut like, which one is whatever the one you said, and which one is Todd Grisham, and fucking what was the guy in the Todd Pettengill? Just they're all interchangeable.
Sadly, I can tell you the difference between Todd Pettengill, Todd Grisham, and Greg Hamilton.
What about who's Sean Mooney? What's the difference between Sean Mooney and Todd Pettengill?
They're both short white guys with short black hair. Actually, I think Todd was a little taller.
For some reason, I don't know why Vince had a thing for the most fucking generic looking men.
Because Mean Gene wanted too much money.
Mean Gene deserved much more money.
I agree. Maybe they should have given him the hotline.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember the WWF's hotline phone number? I don't, but I can tell you WCW's number. 1-900-909-9900.
Yeah, I know. I know. I know my childhood home phone number and that. Those are the two phone numbers that I know.
I have trouble remembering 911, but I can remember the WCW hotline.
No, wait. I remember the number for the Plaza Hotel from Home Alone 2. I think 1-800-759-3000.
I'll take your word for it. I don't remember that number. Thankfully in 1992, Kevin McAllister had a talk boy and was able to record a random plug for a random hotel in a random city that he was never going to go to unless he gets on the wrong plane in Chicago and no one notices until they end up where they are.
So the movie can happen.
Of course. And like when I was a kid, it seemed perfectly believable that his mom would just happen to find him at 30 Rockefeller Center. And now that I'm a grown ass adult who's been to New York City, like motherfucker, that's a little too convenient if you ask me.
Yeah. Well, turns out you can make anything you want happen when you're writing the script.
I thought that was a shoot.
Home Alone. You thought Home Alone 2 was a shoot?
Yes. I thought it was
Now,
like
did you think Home Alone 1 was a shoot? Or the first one was a work, but the second one was a shoot?
the first one was a work. Like I think the first one
Of
was a reality show, to be honest.
I have a pet peeve about that movie, by the way, the first movie. Because
Uh-huh.
everybody's always what does Kevin's dad do to afford a trip for that many people? Motherfucker. In like the first 5 minutes of the movie, they clearly state in the dialogue that the brother they are going to visit in Paris paid for the trip for everybody.
Indeed.
We could do a whole show. Maybe we'll do that for like a bonus show around Christmas. I'll just air my grievances about the Home Alone franchise.
Now, are you going to stop at Home Alone 2, or are you going to talk about Home Alone 3, Home Alone 4, Home Alone Back for the Holidays, or whatever the hell that was called? And, you know, get all of the.
I I think I saw Home Alone 3 like many years ago. I did watch the one that came out on Disney Plus a couple of years ago, but like the only ones that are real Home Alone movies are 1 and 2. If it doesn't have Macaulay Culkin and Daniel Stern and Joe Pesci in it, it's not Home Alone.
Yeah, they stopped after the second one. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what World Class is doing, but Mid South we're in review, the last week of the year, so we may have to put on our Home Alone hats into December.
I do, by the way, I watch those like every Christmas season, Home Alone 1 and 2.
I watched them up at Christmas Carol.
It's a good one too.
Yes. By the way, back to the match. Bobby Blaze won. Um, Paul Lee missed a leg drop from the top rope, but then got up, went for a top rope crossbody, but Blaze rolled through for the win. The crowd, I want you to keep this in mind when we get to the next match. The crowd lost their shit for Bobby Blaze and blew several loads when Bobby Blaze won.
So when I saw that the opening match was between Bobby Blaze and Paul Lee, and neither of them got entrances, I actually wrote somebody's going to come out and destroy both of these geeks, right? And then that did not happen. The two geeks had a match, and one of them won.
It was the Mid-South Expiration of Time match here in the opener.
Yeah, that's what it was exactly.
Now, I got to tell you, Trey warned me earlier today with what we're about to listen to. Let's go to Bobby Blaze, who's going to cut a promo after his big win.
Dutch, I wanted to call this young man over, Bobby Blaze fans. I wanted to get him over and talk to him for just a moment because all of you saw it, and I want to congratulate you on your very first win in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and I tell you, I hope it's one of many, Bobby.
Oh, all right. Hey, I'm just as surprised and excited as these fans are. I tell you what, Bob, I come to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and they threw me there at the Lions. Beautiful Bobby Eaton, the Heavenly Bodies, Dirty White Boy. Man, I felt like the Christians being thrown to the Lions. I tell you what, I got in that ring, and I was intimidated. I intimidated myself. I looked across the ring and saw those athletes. Yeah. Man. Then the other night I was leaving the arena, and a kid come up to me and said, Blaze, let me have a moment of your time. I've always got time for fans, especially a kid. And he said, Blaze, you're not giving 100%. I added 2 and 2 together. I was intimidating myself of these guys that are world-class athletes and wrestlers, and I wasn't giving 100%. Tonight out there, I gave 100%. That kid's face popped in, his image in my mind. Little red-headed, freckle-faced kid out there, and I read his lips. He said, Blaze, give 100%. Try, man. I started fighting my way back, and lo and behold, I got a victory. And I'm going to tell you, all these great fans and the wrestlers in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Bobby Blaze will be blazing new trails through Smoky Mountain.
I just want to point out we make fun of Tim Horner on this show on a weekly basis. In fact, we make fun of Tim Horner on every show we do.
Yes.
You know, I don't know. Is that better or worse than the average Tim Horner promo? Because that
I got some entertainment value out of this. And he looks terrified to be talking. The last Lions. One of the funniest lines ever said in a wrestling promo.
He put 2 and 2 together and gave 100%, and now he won a match.
I am going to defend this promo in that, to me, this went all the way through to the other side and was so bad that it was good.
Oh, a little redhead boy came to him and told him that he wasn't putting forth 100%.
Well, you know, sometimes you need that outside insight to put it in perspective for you. And he put 2 and 2 together and got 100%.
I'd like to point out this man is going to be Smoky Mountain champion in 2 years.
You think he thought he was adding, but he divided? Because if you divided 2 and 2, you'd get 100%.
I mean, that's a little bit of a stretch.
If I'm gonna do math, this show's gonna really go off the rails. Leave it to Bobby Blaze, an outstanding gentleman, a wrestler, a mathematician, a friend to children, a future Smoky Mountain champion. I wasn't trying to look ahead. Well, I was trying to look ahead for other reasons, and I think I accidentally saw that I think he's going to pull off a pretty significant upset here in the next week or two.
Indeed, he does. But before we get to that upset in 3 weeks, I believe, let's go to Bob Caudle with our tag team champions, who, if you don't recall, are The Rock and his partner, Roll Express.
With us right now, here they are, our Smoky Mountain Tag Team Champions, the very popular 4-time World Tag Team Champions, Rock and Roll Express. Rick, Jim Cornette, he says he's got a mystery team. He says they're big, huge, rough, tough, mean, and he said this weekend, Rock and Roll's going to find out all about them.
That's right. This weekend, his mystery team is going to be revealed. But you see one thing, Jimmy Cornette, we've been through thick and thin with you, brother, so bring them on down. Let me tell you one thing about the Rock and Roll Express. One thing we are fighting champions. Nobody in this world ever gave Robert I nothing. Nobody ever walked up with a silver platter and says, Rock and Roll Express, you're going to be the tag team champions. No, everything we got, it took blood, sweat, and tears. We're not like no other wrestling organization. This is Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Our father is not a promoter. What we got is what we fought for. Nobody ever gave us nothing, Jimmy Cornette, and you know that as well as we do. So you can bring those big old guys down there, which you say weigh 300 pounds apiece, which you say is known all over the world. It don't matter to us. Like I told you, we're here at Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and we're proud of it. One thing that we're proud of, that we are the champions, and we got all these nice fans right here to back us up. So you bring all those big old boys down there, because I told you many times, rock and roll, we're here to stay. We're not here to play. We'll see you this weekend, boys.
Rock and Roll Express fans, right now, let's...
So, I mean, it's going to sound meaner than I intend to, but standard operating procedure for Ricky Morton. Just, nothing to write home about, but nothing bad at all. It was a good little promo there by Ricky Morton. Robert Gibson doing his promo of the year, as we expect from him. And, yeah, it all went good.
Sure. Another, it's the promo equivalent of the classic. They had a match. It was fine.
Rock and roll's here to stay. They ain't here to play.
Indeed.
Take a drink.
And allegedly, Cornette will reveal his mystery team this weekend.
Yes. This weekend, not next weekend, but this weekend.
Glad they specified.
Yes. Well, we then got Gary Scott versus the WWA Heavyweight Champion of the World, Suicide Blonde Chris Candido. Candido looks like the kind of guy who would wear a red mask and red trunks for about a month.
I don't think he'd do such a thing.
Nah. Scott wore a baggy bandana on his head for the match. It fell off, and Scott was so concerned about Candido kicking his ass that he made a point to take the bandana off the mat and shove it in his trunks. Gary Scott, while concerned about his bandana, was not too concerned about being a good pro wrestler. Candido took 2 tries to throw him over the top rope. And then, remember when I said that the crowd busted a nut for Bobby Blaze in the first match? Chris Candido does a somersault dive over the top rope, and these crowds are like, huh? Yeah.
That's what you get for trying to do cool shit in Eastern Kentucky, I guess.
Yes. Candido won with the top rope superplex and a finger on the chest to Gary Scott. I will say this, that is a bad finish. Not because it's not a spectacular looking finish, but how many people in this territory can he give that to?
Well, it's a job, guys, I guess. So the much more interesting to me than this match was the conversation that Bob Caudle and Dutch Mantell had during it, where Bob is just befuddled about the existence of the WWA, and he and Dutch have a conversation about how to use the phone, but Bob protests that he doesn't have any New Jersey phone books. So I'm thinking, well, can you maybe call 411, see if there's 411 was the thing in 1993, right?
I don't think so.
Really?
I could be wrong, but I don't think that came out yet.
Huh. I'm gonna have to 411 may refer to the year AD 411, 411 BC, 411, a telephone directory assistance for a number in the United States and Canada. Okay, that's
Thank you to the always reliable Wikipedia for this information.
411 number has been used since at least 1930.
Oh, wow. I was so wrong, it's not even funny.
Very wrong.
I apologize. We try to stay factually correct here on this program. And
do we need to explain not just what 411 is? Do we need to explain what a phone is to the youngsters listening here?
I think they understand what a phone is. 411 was this thing you called instead of looking up numbers in a phone book, and you told them the city and state and the listing you were looking for, and they would then give you the number and connect you with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Did you know that a phone is something that you could talk to another person through? No, not
I
like
heard about
not
that.
not like FaceTime either. Like this is something you talk to them, you wouldn't be able to see them.
Yeah, and this wasn't like it wasn't a thing where everybody had their phone on them at all times and it's a tiny supercomputer. There was just the family in the house had a phone and it was in a room that was fucking it was wired to the wall.
Mm-hmm. And if you were
Long time
really
ago.
rich, you had two phones.
I had we did have multiple handsets, but they were all on the same line. We didn't have nobody had their own line in my house.
Now we only had the one line, but we had multiple phones.
Yeah.
Um, so let's go to Chris Candido, who is going to tell us about the quality of challenger Gary Scott is, along with more about the WWA.
All right, fans, and you just saw a great debut right here by the Suicide Blonde, Chris Candido, who says he's the world champion for WWA. Right, Chris?
That's right, the WWA, the World Wrestling Alliance, not the rinky-dink Smoky Mountain garbage. And hey, you bunch of hillbillies, how does it feel to have not only a natural blonde, but the real world champion here in your jerkwater town, huh? Smoky Mountain Wrestling, you now have no choice but to recognize me as the real world champion. I just beat Gary Scott, a top contender for any title in the entire world of wrestling, with the Suicide Plex 1, 2, 3, like it was a day off. So Smoky Mountain Wrestling, get ready for the Suicide Blonde Tour. I'm the WWA Heavyweight Champion of the world, the real world champion, Bob Caudle.
All right, fans, Suicide Chris Candido, you heard him. You're going to see a lot from this man.
So not the Suicide Blonde Chris Candido, just Suicide Chris Candido, which, not the greatest name. And the fans didn't seem too excited about having a real world champion in their jerkwater town.
Which is quizzical because with the Smoky Mountain Championship vacant, he's de facto the top champion in the promotion, right?
See, I figured that would still be Primetime Brian Lee.
No, Primetime Brian Lee ain't never been the top anything.
He's not even top in his bedroom.
He's not even the best fake Undertaker.
Who is the best fake Undertaker?
That the black guy who worked like indie shows in England, whose name I will not say.
Okay. Well, tell me something, and please correct me if I'm wrong. Did they play the exact same local promos again this week?
Yes. No, they were different from the ones last week, but it was the same one both times this week.
All right. Yeah, I just kind of thought it was the exact same promos again. Like, goddamn, Corny forgot to tape some local promos this week because
no, this was clearly they were taped right after the ones last week in the same room.
I am very mesmerized by the clock on the wall and the second hand going around the wall.
In the promo room?
Yes.
What time was it when they recorded these promos?
I honestly didn't even look at the time. I was just following the second hand of the clock.
How
It'd
many
be
seconds
nice.
did
It'd be nice if I just scrolled backwards on the video that I'm watching and found out. It was 8:12, probably 8:12 at night.
I would think so.
Yeah. Yes. By the way, you can get a free Smoky Mountain catalog by sending a self-addressed stamped envelope to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, P.O. Box 1279, Morristown, Tennessee 37816.
I think they'd still let me join the Rock and Roll Express fan club.
If you send Cornette $20, I bet he would let you be a member of the Rock and Roll Express fan club. Just don't hold your breath waiting for that quarterly newsletter or whatchamacallit, or the contest to win Ricky Morton's titles.
Sorry,
Oh.
I was thinking about going off on a tangent, and I was weighing the pros and cons, and then I just let it go.
Hey, on this show, we keep things very serious here.
By Adina Menzel from Trey's Spotify.
What the Alexa, stop. I don't even know what it thought it heard me say, but it was starting to play some kind of music.
By Adina Menzel on Spotify.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that Ricky Morton should have won the NWA World Title from Nick Aldis in like 2020.
Interesting. Was Nick
I have
Aldis
no-
still the NWA champion in 2020?
Yeah, he when did he lose it? It was like 21 when he lost it to Trevor Murdoch.
Who then lost it to Brodus Clay. Oh Lord.
How far the end? I didn't think we'd ever have a downgrade from the Colorado kid Mike Rapata, but then we got to fucking Tyrus.
From the Harley races to the Barry Windhams to the Tokyo Monster Kahagas, all
By the
rolled
way,
over in their grave.
That will go down in the record books as the wrestler who I was the most wrong about.
Tokyo Monster Kahagas?
No, Brodus Clay.
Oh.
Because when he showed up on WWE TV the first time, and he was Alberto Del Rio's young boy, and he was wrestling like Edge and Christian, I was like, this motherfucker is going to be the next Vader. He's so good at, being a big man and selling on the run and stuff. And then eventually I realized, oh, no, Edge and Christian were both just fantastic workers.
He was Alberto's rookie on NXT season 3 or season 4.
Yeah.
It was the all internet season, which was just tremendous.
I didn't watch that one. I did not watch any NXT between the end of Sci-Fi and the beginning of the network.
So I reviewed NXT for the Figure 4 website for almost a decade. The very first match on the very first episode I watched was Caitlyn versus Maxine, which was the Wrestling Observer Worst Worked Match of the Year 2010 award winner.
And you kept doing it after that?
It only got better from there. That also a few weeks after that was the wedding between Goldust and Oksana, which is still the greatest wedding in WWE history. But then we get to future NXT, and mind you, a lot of this is NXT Redemption. By the way, NXT Redemption is still the greatest TV show in WWE history, featuring, among other things, Matt Striker being kidnapped on NXT, but still showing up on every other WWE show, including WrestleMania, as he was being kidnapped in NXT. It featured the love rectangle between Derek Bateman, Maxine, who the fuck else was it in there? Johnny Curtis, and somebody else. I keep wanting to say Caitlyn, but it doesn't sound right, but I think it was Caitlyn. But the whole point was Derek Bateman and Maxine were dating, but years before they dated, she went on one date with Johnny Curtis, and because of that, that made her the biggest slut in wrestling history. This, despite the fact that we had AJ Lee jumping between man to man to man at the same time. This was like it was just an amazing fucking show,
Sounds spectacular.
And
Johnny Curtis never got his pay-per-view title shot for winning that thing either, did he?
No, but he did eventually get a because it was on NXT. He got a WWE Tag Team title match like years afterwards, around the same time Caitlyn got her Divas title match.
Wasn't Caitlyn the Divas champion, or am I misremembering?
She was. She beat Eve on Eve's last night.
I don't think that Eve was like Chigusa Nagayo or anything, But anybody that can do a nice moonsault and get it over as a finish is all right with me.
Indeed. Trying to think
Speaking of moonsaults.
Speaking of moonsaults, the Heavenly Bodies with Jim Cornette took on Mike Sampson and Robbie Eagle. They announced that all the females, as always, are not allowed to grope, touch, or molest the Heavenly Bodies. But I did point out that they said nothing about the men in the audience. So
maybe that's the point.
Yeah. Anyway, they'll repinned Eagle with the poon salt.
Is that a thing, or did you just make that up?
I stole it from somebody, but yes.
Oh, okay. Referring to it as the poon salt forever now.
After the match, the Heavenly Bodies beat on Sampson and Eagle, and I'd like to point out that when Kevin Sullivan used to do that, he would lose his matches by reverse decision disqualification. But the rules do not apply to everybody equally in this company. Scott and Steve ran to the ring, and I wrote later hurting on them, but the fucking thing kept going. They put the Heavenly Bodies both in figure fours. Cornette breaks it up with bracket, but it keeps going, and it eventually just fades to black.
You left out the best part. So Armstrong's put the bodies in figure four leg locks. And Cornette hit Scott with the tennis racket, so Pritchard got free and goes after Steve, who has Jimmy Del Rey in a figure four leg lock. And Steve fucking inside cradles Tom Pritchard and holds him there like for a pin in the middle of this brawl. And I laughed and laughed and laughed at the absurdity. What a man! Used an inside cradle in a alley fight.
Wasn't there a battle royal once where Owen Hart did that to somebody in a battle royal?
That sounds like something Owen Hart would do.
But sadly, it had to end. He eventually let go of the figure four and the inside cradle, and we went to commercial. We came back from commercial, and it was time for Down and Dirty with Dutch. Now, technically, Down and Dirty with Dutch goes 8 minutes and 38 seconds. We're cutting this into 2 parts. And I cut it into 2 parts before I knew how fucking long the whole thing was going to go. So let's play the first part, then we'll come back and talk about it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Down and Dirty with Dutch. I'm Dutch Mantell, and you're not. Now, my special guest today on Down and Dirty with Dutch is a team newly formed, Jimmy Cornette and the new and improved Heavenly Bodies. Now, Jimmy, I want to tell you right now, let's just set the record straight here. I know we haven't seen eye to eye in recent months, and I know that the stud stable have had problems with the Heavenly Bodies, but I am a professional. I'm a professional journalist, so I'm out here doing my job. But I have to say one thing. When you guys got to Bob Armstrong, I'm going to have to say that was a masterpiece that you guys did, because I'll give you credit where credit is due.
Well, Dutch Mantell, that's something I know about you. You're like I am. You appreciate a good hatchet job. You've always been cunning and devious and underhanded and dishonest, and I admire a man who's good at what he does. So I got no problem with you either. I do have a problem with these rednecks here in eastern Kentucky and all over the Smoky Mountain area that are constantly, the Armstrongs came out here. You know what I would have done if they'd have been out here 5 more seconds? I'd have had to slap them in the face myself. Now I know we're talking about Bob Armstrong, and I know he sent a videotape in. I know it's your show, but if we can, I want to hear what old man Methuselah Armstrong has to say.
Okay, let's listen to some comments from Bob Armstrong.
I just wanted you to know, Cornette, where I'm spending most of my time here the last few days. This is Armstrong's Avenue, the gym I built over the years through a lot of pain, sweat, and tears. I'm happy about one thing, though. This little blue card represents a wrestler's license that enables me to wrestle or manage in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. So I appreciate the application being accepted. This little bitty weight here, I just move around in my wrist every day, roll it down. It's getting stronger. I'm pushing further past the pain. Because when I counted those licks you gave me on that tape, you slapped me and punched me about 15 times. Hit me with that racket in the 20s, somewhere around the number 50. But this is number 51. And when I put this on your nose, you're going to think a ballistic missile hit you in the face and blew both your ears off. Now, I know Steve and Scott up there doing the best they can against your heavenly bodies and your new arrival. But I'll tell you one thing. I trained those boys in this gym, Armstrong Avenue, and they know how to go hard and fight hard, and they can take a licking and keep on ticking. Now, I'll tell you this. For every lick you gave me, you're going to get one back. And like I said, I'm saving that extra one. That last one's going to be special, and you'll remember it forever. The bullet won't be shooting no blanks this time. I won't be chained up. And you know, as much as you beat me, as much as I hurt, what even hurt me worse was when you called my youngest son, Brian, a deserter. A man that called me a week before he went to the Persian Gulf said, Dad, don't worry, I'm not afraid. Well, I was afraid enough for both of us that he wouldn't come back. But he did, and you called him a deserter. You're going to pay the price, mister. And one little word of advice, you know, Brian gets out of the Marine Corps this June. And that ain't long, brother. It'll be here before you know it. So I'm building an army. And I'm taking new recruits every day. And you can look for the general of Armstrong's army any day now. Because I am on the way. Because every time I watch that tape every morning about 6:30, I come right out here to the gym. And I work out harder and harder. I'm pushing further and further past that pain. No pain, no gain. And I tell you what, you're going to gain more than any human has in the history of the human race, because I'm going to issue you more pain than anybody's ever had to endure. Because I know what pain's all about. Everybody saw me strung up and beat till you couldn't even raise your arms. I hope you feel good about it, because before too long, you're going to feel real bad about it. Now behind me, you can see some trophies and things that I've won over the years. Almost 30 years. I've never had to take a beating like that in my life. And I'll never take another one. And I'll be doggone if any man of your caliber is going to get away with that. So look for Armstrong's army soon. We're on the way.
Can I just say that I am really happy that I am not booking myself in a match with Bullet Bob Armstrong?
But because you don't want that fucking weight on your nose?
I was fucking scared for Corny watching this, because motherfucker, Bob cut a promo there. You know, that.
Yes, he did.
That motherfucker, like, you know, and I'm like expecting like to come back at first, and like Cornette's either left or is like kind of pissing his pants afraid. Like, but no, Cornette's well, he can still be brave, because hey, you know, he's not coming back. We gave him such a beating last time. Why would he ever come back? You know, but
okay. Okay, that I was preoccupied with a different thought during that whole promo, and that was perhaps the reason that there wasn't a streak of piss following Cornette back to the locker room after the segment was did he really see it? Because okay, when they throw it to the VTR there in this high school gym, like nobody in the gym is seeing anything, right? Like, I do not believe that there's a big screen at the high school gym in Harlan, Kentucky.
There is not a giant screen in the gym in Harlan, Kentucky.
Do you think that they brought in the TV on the rolling cart that everybody's school had back in the day? You think that's what happened?
No, but I mean, I imagine, like, you know, it's wrestling. We're supposed to pretend that you know, that they saw it.
I guess if I can believe Bobby Blaze can do math, I can believe this.
But Cornette, by the way, being a great heel, said if Scott and Steve had still been here, he would have slapped them around. Of course he would have, obviously. And by the way, the big thing that kind of got pushed to the side here, but it did happen. Bob has had his application approved. He can now wrestle or manage in Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Who approved that application? Was it Sandy Scott? Was it Mark Curtis? Was it Pam? Is it a commission comprised of Sandy Scott, and Mark Curtis, and Pam?
I mean, technically, and we mentioned this, the board of directors was Bullet Bob, Mark Curtis, and Sandy Scott. And they've said that Bullet Bob resigned as commissioner, but they never said he resigned as a member of the board of directors.
You think he voted to approve his own application?
I think so. I think, we're having a major issue here, a major conflict of interest, having Bob on the board of directors while making decisions that involve Bob as a wrestler.
I don't know. I don't think there's any conflict in the interest that the good people of Eastern Tennessee and Eastern Kentucky have in seeing Jim Cornette get his nose broken by Bullet Bob.
Yes, indeed. And poor Jimmy, he's only got a couple months left on this planet before Bullet Bob returns and murders him to death. But so let's go to the second half of this. So we're back in the ring in Harlan, Kentucky, and let's go to Dutch asking Jim Cornette more about Bullet Bob.
From Bob Armstrong. Jimmy, Mr. Cornette, can I have some comments on what he said?
First of all, old Bullet Bob Armstrong, we proved that he's shooting blanks. He is nothing. He's finished. He resigned as commissioner. He was beaten up like nobody's ever beat him up before by Jim Cornette, yours truly. His boys are totally ineffective. They can't stop the Heavy Rock and Roll Express. Have been trounced. They're being trounced every single time they step in a ring. My mystery team, brother, is going to run roughshod all over everybody. I don't care whether these people don't like it or not. The fact is that Jim Cornette rules Smoky Mountain Wrestling. But in addition to the Armstrongs being totally ineffective as far as professional wrestling goes, I understand that they are totally ineffective as far as a few other things go. Jimmy, Gigolo, come here. This man is the greatest natural athlete that I've ever seen in my life. I've had a long history of dealing with beautiful Bobby.
I haven't met you, Dutch Mantell.
Sir, it's a pleasure to meet you.
I've had a long history of dealing with beautiful Bobby Eaton. A lot of people say he's the greatest natural athlete they ever saw. This man, brother, if he don't rival him, he bests him. He's been in training. He's been down there in Florida. We've kept him secret for 4 years because he's the secret weapon, brother. He's the thing that we knew one day we'd need, that ace in the hole. But the Gigolo has been supporting himself during these 4 years that he's been in training, with a lot of those society matrons down there at Palm Beach. Mrs. Vanderpool, I know, is especially... Vandersnoot. I'm sorry, I thought it was Vander something. But anyway, now the Armstrong family women have gotten wind of this, and Scott Armstrong's girlfriend actually had the guts to write this man a letter. I want you, have you got that letter? Can you read that letter?
Can I read it? Yeah, read it. A letter?
This is from Scott Armstrong's girlfriend. She is a brazen hussy. Go ahead and read it.
Dear Gigolo Jimmy, I like it already. Every time Scott leaves the house, I call you, but you never answer. I will leave him anytime you say. No one has ever...
Can't say that part. Don't say that part.
I can't say that?
No, don't say that.
Anyway, ever like you did it. Best of all, I love you, Gigolo.
You know what? Scott Armstrong's girlfriend is just like Bob Armstrong's old lady. She looks like 40 miles of bad country road. That's what... Whoa, hey.
Wait a minute. Well, we've been joined in the ring by the Armstrongs trying to call the heavenly bodies back. Hey, man, I heard it. I didn't like what Jimmy Del Rey did. I think it's, no, I had nothing to do with it. I think it's despicable, and I think it's despicable what they did to your dad, too.
Yeah, you say a lot of things there, Mantell. I'll tell you one thing right now. When it comes to Jimmy Cornette, he needs to know one thing, and Mr. Mantell, you need to know one thing. And that is the Bullet Bob Armstrong is at home. He's getting better every day. Every day. He is going to come back to the Smoky Mountains. He is going to be bad to the bone when he gets here. How about it, Steve?
That's right.
Jimmy sissified Cornette, bring your Big 12 sandwich-eating sissy butt on down, because, brother, on a silver platter is how you're going to be served to the Bullet Bob Armstrong.
And one more thing. Before it's all over, this may be down and dirty with the Armstrongs.
No one wants to see that. But a strong promo here for young Master Cornette. I had to laugh because they start talking about Jimmy Del Rey being the gigolo. They mentioned Scott Armstrong's girlfriend, who is a brazen hussy, by the way. And we get a letter from her to the gigolo, where, because you're not allowed to say this on TV, but we can say it. Del Rey fucks better than Scott Armstrong. And, so that offended Scott Armstrong. And the Armstrongs stood tall. They said, I thought that Scott turned into Bubba Ray Dudley there for a second when he announced that Bob was bad to the bone.
I bet Jimmy Del Rey is a very enthusiastic lover.
I bet he is. Just ask that woman that him and Tatanka double teamed that time.
I continue to be enamored with what a magnificent scumbag he is.
He is a tremendous scumbag. It's just he really is like the perfect replacement for Stan Lane. Because Stan Lane, for all intents and purposes, he was a fairly serious heavenly body. But Gigolo Jimmy is like just absolutely perfect in this role. He's guzzy. He's dirty. He's just like, you feel like you're getting an STD just watching him on TV.
He kind of looks like an STD. Like if an STD were anthropomorphized, I think like the clap would look just like Jimmy Del Rey, I think. But yeah, like it feels like an entirely different team. Like, okay, Stan and Tom was just like, hey, this isn't the Midnight Express, but this is like the closest we're gonna get. And then so this team, and it's all because Jimmy Del Rey is such a magnificent scumbag. Like it finally feels like this version of the bodies have their own distinct identity.
Yes, and it's sad that because they go to the WWF in a couple of months, and it's like I don't remember them ever being like this. Like I don't like Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey was just a name, and I don't remember him ever cutting a promo, and if he did, he never cut one like this anyway. And this is this is good shit. That not so much. Shockingly, Vince McMahon did not make best of use of his guys.
You would think that Vince McMahon would have looked at Jimmy Del Rey and just known it was a kindred spirit. You would think, right?
I mean, is Jimmy Del Rey still alive, right?
I think so.
I mean,
check Wikipedia here. Oh, no, Jimmy Del Rey passed away in 2014.
Oh, wow. May he rest in peace. Well, I was going to say, maybe for all we know, he was one of the people that Vince was forcing to be with Janelle Grant.
We unfortunately have reasonable suspicion rather, that Miss Grant wasn't the first.
No. And fuck Vince McMahon.
Oh, have you seen this Netflix documentary is dropping next month about McMahon and the whole thing?
Yep. That they've been working on forever.
That'll be interesting. So this is the one that they've been working on forever, that they had to rework completely because of the recent events.
The allegations. Yes. I was honestly a little surprised that they were still going through with it. since Netflix is giving them $5 billion with a B, for Raw. So I was a little surprised that they put this on.
Well, I guess we'll see what kind of thing we end up getting out of this.
We'll see if it's better or worse than Who Killed WCW, which, by the way, we still haven't done a podcast talking about that show.
Yeah, it was, I think it was what everybody expected it to be.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, at this point, like, the story's been done to death. It's been fucking 23 years. It's like, and I still say that, the main thing that got up Bischoff's ass was that 3 or 4 years he was in WWE, where they spent the entire time running him down and basically saying how none of his accomplishments were really his, that it was all Ted Turner. And he left and he's like, motherfucker, like, this was all me. Like, I am responsible for all this and I'm not getting my fucking just desserts. And
I am typically very critical of Mr. Bischoff for a lot of reasons, but I think he has a valid point there. He is responsible for the successes. He's also responsible for the failures. And that series seemed to exist solely to absolve Bischoff of any responsibility for the failures of WCW. But
pretty much.
I understand his frustration with Vince, because it has been clear for years. Like, even it was clear in the 90s. Vince's ego could not handle the fact that he was losing to a fucking third string announcer from the dying days of the AWA. So he had to invent in his mind that this was Ted Turner doing this to him, even though Ted Turner, I highly doubt ever made a single decision that had anything to do with the day-to-day operations of WCW.
The closest he did was when he told Scott Sassa to put Nitro on against Raw.
Yeah, and that was it. But Vince's ego needed it to be Ted Turner. And that's why the narrative in the WWE version of history has always been more about Ted Turner than Eric Bischoff. And from that perspective, I understand where Bischoff is coming from with some of his frustration.
Because the funny thing is, like, a lot of the stuff, like, going not so much to head, but by putting the shows in prime time, bidding on high-priced talent, that's all shit that Jim Herd tried to do, and he could not convince the Turner higher-ups to open up the wallets, and Bischoff was able to. And it's like, that had a lot to do with it. Not everything, but it had a lot to do with the red ink turning into black ink. And it's like, it's one of the things, like, if WCW had an unlimited checkbook from day one, Bill Watts would have been running the fucking company until he died. And I mean, I think he's still alive, but you know what I mean. Watts' whole thing was he was brought in to cut costs, and so he fucking cut costs. But if you would have given him an open checkbook to go, buy any talent he wanted, pay them any fucking amount he wanted, motherfucking WWF wouldn't have existed. He would have just taken everybody from there.
It's really funny to me that the Vince and also the Vince apologist out there, like, their criticisms of competing promoters are always, they're shitting on people for doing exactly what Vince did in the 80s, and they're completely oblivious to it. Because he's spending a bunch of money to take all the talent from other companies, and fucking Tony Khan ruining wrestling. Like, exactly what you're accusing Tony Khan of being today is what Vince actually did in 1984, 85. Yeah. And it's the same. What did Bischoff do in the 90s? The same fucking thing.
Yeah. And can I just fucking say, and I like, obviously we respect Jim Cornette, we respect his knowledge of history, we respect him as a booker, a character, a manager, everything in between. However, I was, if you listen to him talk about AEW salaries, and this is since pre-day one, when the first contract started being signed with AEW, and you heard that a lot of wrestlers were getting $100,000 contracts, Jim was going on his show throwing a massive tantrum. Let's just say, be fucking honest with that. He threw a tantrum because ultimately, at the end of the day, it took him years to make $100,000 in wrestling. And now all these people, 30 plus years later, are now getting $100,000, and he couldn't handle it at first, which, but then this is what makes me bring it up here in 2024. I don't know if it just got released on YouTube or like it just went up and just showed up in my feed recently, but I saw a 2007 or 2008 Q&A with Jim Cornette when he was still in TNA. He was at a fan fest and answering questions. And one of the things he went on and on about was he wanted to see the wrestlers make more money because, and I mean, I think we all kind of felt this way. It's like, it sucks that wrestlers, especially at the time, were making shit unless you were in WWE and to a far lesser extent TNA. And it's like now fucking wrestlers are making more money. And now he can't stop bitching about them making more money because it's not the people he would prefer to make more money. I'm sorry people are wrestling that you don't like. I'm sorry that they're making enough money to, live to whatever degree of comfort they live in. I am so sorry about that.
It's also an issue of people not understanding inflation.
Which is hilarious because he does. If you ever go back and listen to him talk about Gates from the 80s and Gates from the 90s, you're like, well, if you want to do the inflation calculator, it's this much in $2024 or whatever. It's like, he understands it unless it has something to do with somebody he doesn't like making money.
Yeah, so I was, I have been recusing myself from the internet discourse lately, but I do still get the Fightful Select emails with news and stuff. So I got the note the other day about Daniel Garcia and who else was it? And Swerve Strickland. We know Swerve just signed a big new contract with AEW. We believe Daniel Garcia has signed a lucrative new contract. And the thing was that people in WWE are upset that it's gonna upset the pay structure because AEW was paying these guys more than WWE thought they were worth. And I know the people that are gonna be on both sides of the argument, and I didn't get involved in it, but I just look, if you like one wrestling company over another, I'm fine with that. Even if you like wrestling that I fucking hate, I am glad that wrestling exists for you. But if you take the side of management over labor in any cases whatsoever, I ain't got no respect for you.
Yep. It's hilarious at the end of the day. It's like, oh no, now Daniel Garcia is going to make money. How dare he?
How did we get from Jimmy Del Rey being a scumbag to Daniel Garcia making lots of money?
Let's see. So we talked about Jimmy Del Rey is a scumbag. And I was gonna say that maybe him and Vince McMahon had double teamed Janelle Grant, which then led to discussion about that documentary, which led to discussion about Bischoff and that documentary, which led to Jim Cornette's problems with people getting paid.
I would never claim that this podcast was good, but I will certainly claim that it's unique.
Indeed. By the way, while we're talking about these AEW contracts, what the hell was Swerve Strickland's original contract? Or was he working without one? Because he signed, around the date of Revolution 2022, which is in March. And now in August of 2024, his contract's up and we're re-signing him.
So, Tony Khan has this weird thing where he treats people decently and people hate that about him.
That
But
motherfucker.
my understanding of the situation was that Swerve signed in 2022 for whatever he signed for, and his contract was valid, I believe, through 2025. But they recognized that with his, with his success, he has far overachieved, and there was a recognition that he was worth more money than he was getting, so they went ahead and renegotiated his deal.
That fucking Hangman feud, that was like what really, caused him to explode.
Yeah.
As much as I laughed, and I think most people laughed about him showing up in Hangman's baby's bedroom, and Hangman 1,000 miles away in a different city left and began running for his house. Like, but that was a bit ridiculous.
I have really enjoyed watching Hangman become steadily more deranged.
What else was about Hangman? I was gonna say something else about Hangman, but I guess it was a lie because I can't remember it now. But I think it's interesting. They seem to be doing a good job of keeping him away from the elite, and I'm happy with that. And it's not just I hate the Young Bucks thing. It's like, no, it's like, let him do his own fucking thing, And
yeah, well, the story, like leading into Blood and Guts, and now there's problems with the build up to Blood and Guts, especially on the Team AEW side, and some of it was due to Bryan Danielson not being cleared, and et cetera, et cetera. But as far as the elite team, like the element of the elite asking Hangman to join, Hangman saying he had no interest in taking part in their nonsense, but then as soon as Swerve announces he's on Team AEW, Hangman says, okay, I'll do it. And he's only doing it, he's not doing it to help the elite, he's doing it because he wants to fight Swerve. And then the whole match, he's solely focused on Swerve, and he ends up, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember there was some kind of nonsense where he kind of fucked around the elite because he was done with whatever he was doing. But like that element of the story, I thought was really good.
And indeed it was. And the funny thing is, like, he's a heel, and he's now going to get to cut promos about how, this man broke into the nursery of his child, and we are all cheering him. And he is the bad guy because he is trying to fight the guy that broke into his house.
Hangman is completely justified in this feud to me.
Oh, definitely.
I can't, like, he's not the heel to me. I'm sorry, Swerve Strickland is evil, as he has proven time and time again. I'm sorry, he threatened the man's baby. Like, you don't. Who the fuck are you, Voldemort? You don't threaten the fucking baby.
I thought Watanabe was evil.
That's evil in all caps.
I thought everything was evil.
Only his name and his finishing move and his credo. And the fact that they continue booking House of Torture as a top act. That is an evil committed against me by Gato and Dick Togo.
God damn it, Shadow and Gato. So don't ask me how I'm going to connect these dots, but Lance Archer. So on the show that dropped yesterday, where we talked about the best damn sports show period, the best damn host made fun of Lance Archer, Kid Cash, and Team Canada, and they came out to menace the best damn sports show period people, and got attacked by America's Most Wanted and I think 3 Live Crew. And then so I asked Cindy, and then I'll ask you now, what do you think was better? Him coming out to menace the best damn sports show people, or that scene on Dynamite or Collision last week where we come back from commercial and he's just slamming some guy's head in a locker. And then it just ended and it never got brought up again.
That's my favorite running joke at AEW is sometimes they just cut backstage and Lance Archer is randomly killing geeks. And him carrying or beating his opponents to the ring, which is like the funniest thing because like any other like enhancement match, the opponent is in like already in the ring. Like what do they think they're doing in theory? That they're just going to introduce Lance Archer and then the enhancement guy who's missing is going to appear or he's going to get an entrance? Or do they just accept, okay, this is a Lance Archer squash. I assume he's going to bring the guy to the ring.
I like to think that in canon, they just accept that that's going to happen. I would also like to believe that they're not flying Lance Archer around the country every week to do this, or not even every week. Once a month when Lance Archer shows up on TV, I beat somebody up backstage. I like to think they just tape like a dozen of these, so this way he can just be on the show for a year without ever actually flying to the city.
In my mind, he just flies himself to the city every week when he's not wrestling. He just shows up at the arena and beats up guys backstage until he gets some camera time, and then he leaves.
So think about all the times he's beating people up without camera time.
Yeah, I imagine.
So, by the way, we're talking about Smoky Mountain Wrestling, I think.
We were at one point.
Recently, Tim Horner was randomly wrestling Jim Cornette in Morristown, and it had unexpected results. And if you're thinking an unexpected result in the match between Tim Horner and Jim Cornette, did Cornette win? No. We saw Horner making his comeback. For some reason, White Boy was out there. He had a chain and he knocked Horner the fuck out for the disqualification. So yes, Tim Horner could not beat Jim Cornette. He had to win by disqualification. Tracy Smothers hits the ring for a DDT, for the save. He gets hit with a DDT. Cornette beats up the referee, Daryl Morris. Somehow, Tracy gets powder in his eyes. Oh my God, I know how to talk. Cornette throws powder into Tracy's eyes, and Tracy accidentally beats the shit out of Horner. Rock and Roll Express run in for the save with a towel. Why didn't Horner grow a brain and shout or do something so Tracy knew what the hell was going on? Tracy was being an adult and apologizes and puts his hand out to shake Tim's, but Tim would not shake his hand because he's a little bitch.
Tracy has such an all shucks quality about him. Like, you can't stay mad at him.
No, it's impossible. And we're going to go now to Tracy Smothers and Tim Horner sitting backstage talking about this and further explain why Tim Horner's an asshole.
Fans, we're here in the dressing room with the wild-eyed Southern boy Tracy Smothers and White Light and Tim Horner. And guys, it seems like you guys got into it tonight. I don't think either one of you really knew exactly what happened out there.
I know what happened, Brian. I came over to help Tracy, and he whacked me, cleaned my cloth. That's what happened.
Well, Tim, the last time I looked up, I was out to the ring to help you, man. I mean, White Boy interfered during your match, and I was just trying to help you out. And, man, I look up, I get powder thrown my eyes. There's people hitting. I didn't know who was on me, but there's darn sure a lot of them, man. I'm sorry. I didn't know that was you.
Tell it wasn't me, Tracy.
I had powder in my eyes. The Rock and Roll cleaned it out of my eyes, and I could see it was you. I'm really sorry. Well, can't you see what's happening here? Me and you were fighting amongst ourselves over something that other people were causing. Wait, man, that wasn't intentional at all. I had no idea it was you. Heck, I should have known. You threw a heck of a right hand, but broke my jaw.
Maybe you're right, Trace. I was talking to Ricky and Robin. They said the same things, you know.
Yeah, that wasn't intentional at all. Let's take care of the situation at hand. I mean, man, you know, other people are causing us to argue amongst ourselves.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Tim Horner's such a dickhead.
Yeah. We say that. We say some variation. Well,
like Tracy's apologizing. It's like, he's like, you know, dude, I had powder in my eye. I'm sorry, you know. But I should have known it was you because, like, hey, you threw a great right hand. You nearly knocked me out with that thing. And Horner's like, well, how the fuck did you not know it was me? And it's like, motherfucker, again, you should have said something. You didn't.
You couldn't feel that mullet?
Yeah. Oh Lord. But yeah, this is all the blame of Tim Horner.
Really? Well, I don't know. Initially, this was all the fault of Mark Curtis. But I feel like now, as we go, it's becoming more the fault of Tim Horner. Which, imagine that we managed to find fault in Tim Horner.
So why was this the fault of Mark Curtis? He wasn't even the referee. He wasn't even there.
He was the referee in the original match that started all the shit.
Well, true, but this time it was Daryl Morris.
Who the fuck is Daryl Morris? I believe you.
He is the referee that Jim Cornette knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, this all started because Tim Horner took the white object out of his tights and beat an old man with it. And Mark Curtis misinterpreted that as waving the flag as a coward. And that caused the heavyweight title
Tim Horner
to be
is a coward.
Is he? I can't think of him being guilty of any particular act of cowardice.
Oh, I just prefer to believe that he is a coward.
Okay.
But yeah, so this Horner Tracy feud is continuing. No matter how hard Tracy is trying to stay out of a feud with Tim Horner, apparently this feud must continue.
Indeed. Can't wait to see where it goes.
Well, we're going to segue right into a promo with the Dirty White Boy and Mr. Ron Wright, which would normally be the highlight of the show, but Bullet Bob Armstrong made me piss my pants. Well, let's go to White Boy and Mr. Wright.
Right now, here's the Dirty White Boy and, of course, his manager, the legendary Mr. Ron Wright. First of all, I noticed that you've still got your $20,000. Nobody's taken the head yet off of Tracy's mother's.
Well, that's right. I've got that $20,000 up, and it's going to stay up. And I hope and pray that somebody comes and collects that money before June 11th in Knoxville, Tennessee. If they don't, the Dirty White Boy here will go out there and collect it for me anyway. But let me tell you something. I'm the living legend. I've wrestled for 25, 30 years before I got injured and couldn't wrestle. I've held a Southern Heavyweight Tag Team titles with me and my brother. I've held a Junior World Heavyweight single title by myself. I've had both of my eyes beat till they was plumb shut one week, bounties put out, other eyes swelled shut the other week. It's just been terrible and awful the way that these wrestlers have treated me my entire life. Tried to put me out of wrestling, cripple me up and get rid of me forever. But let me tell you, it's coming down, and it's a great honor to take the last dime that I had to my name, cash my life insurance policy, to get this bounty up, to get that sorry, low-life Tracy Smothers out of wrestling forever. That's the way you done me, Bob.
Ron, just calm down, Ron. Don't worry about a thing, because I'm fixing to walk over here to this ring in just a few seconds, and I'm going to make you $1,000 richer. I'm going to win. What I'm predicting here right now, I'm going to beat Primetime Brian Lee and collect $1,000 for Mr. Wright.
All right, fans, and now we're going to watch. We're going to watch it, I tell you.
All right. So who doesn't love a great promo with Mr. Ron Wright? And, of course, they segged that into, they actually showed pictures of Mr. Ron Wright over the years, which was a really nice little touch there.
Incredible pictures.
Oh, yeah. Like when he talked about having both eyes swollen shut, like they showed a picture of him with one eye swollen shut, which was enough to give you the fucking idea. Like that was a little crazy there.
That was gnarly. Who do you think did that to him?
I could not even hazard a guess. Maybe he got into a fight with his brother.
That's that may be it.
Yes. Brothers are known to get into fights, unfortunately.
I wouldn't know. Didn't have a brother.
I'd say you're not missing much, but I actually like mine. So I mean, I would never say this to his face, but he's a good person.
Yeah. You don't want to say nice things about people where they can hear it.
No, he might get a giant ego or something, and there can only be one Whitner with a giant ego. So we get Beat the Champ TV title holder Primetime Brian Lee versus the Dirty White Boy with Mr. Ron Wright. They were both already, well, I guess Primetime Brian Lee was already in the ring, showing you how much he's being respected currently, in the company. Other than this one, the match was pretty good for the most part, except this one spot here. Brian Lee shoots White Boy into the corner and figures White Boy's going to stumble out to get kicked in the face. So he starts the motion to do a kick to the face, but Dirty White Boy did not stumble out. And so Primetime Brian Lee just got to look like an idiot here. After that, the match was pretty good until the finish, but the finish, I get what they were going for, but it leaves a lot to be desired. White Boy's on the apron. He gives Primetime Brian Lee a shoulder tackle. He then basically does a slingshot splash into the ring where he pins Brian Lee with his feet on the ropes. 1, 2, 3. He's announced as the new Beat the Champ TV title holder. However, Tracy Smothers, who is not a referee, is not Sandy Scott, is not the commissioner. Tracy Smothers runs out and tells the referee what happened, and Mark Curtis just takes his word for it and restarts the match. Because, the referee was like, hey, you're right. White Boy could never pin Primetime Brian Lee, and Brian Lee won with a small package. Bullshit finish.
This finish fucking irritated me. And by the way, I because I didn't say it at the end of the promo, what just a sweetheart of a man the Dirty White Boy is. He just wants to make money to help Mr. Ron Wright get his medication. That's his main motive here in this wrestling company.
Yeah.
Just such an altruistic young man.
He is a fine, fine young man. We always talk about, Tracy Smothers being just an aw shucks, down to earth kind of guy you want to take home to meet your grandmother. Take Dirty White Boy home to meet your grandmother.
I always relate to the characters who I kind of see elements of myself in, and I'm not an oh shucks kind of country boy like Tracy Smothers. I am much more of a dirty white boy in that I'm kind of an asshole, but I'm usually doing things for good reasons, and I try to be kind-hearted. So I did note this was a little bit of a Hulk Hogan tribute match. That was I noted that before Hulk Hogan made idiotic comments today. But Dirty White Boy did a leg drop, Lee did a big boot. So, paying tribute to the current, as of this recording, or as of the recording of this episode of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, not this show, the current WWF champion.
The linear IWGP champion. He beat Muda.
I've traced that, and it gets all fucky in like the late 80s, and it just becomes too much of a mess to bother with. But anyway,
I love that phrase. It gets fucky.
Oh, that's one of my go-to phrases to explain when things get fucky. But anyway, then we got this finish, and this finish fucking irritated me because why is Mark Curtis so easily persuaded to change his decision here? What, after that whole shit? Is it because he realizes that he made a horrible call in that Coward Waves the Flag match, and he's trying to is he overcorrecting by restarting matches after he's rendered a decision now? Is it just, I mean, surely the explanation is not just that the rules of wrestling are inconsistently applied on these shows. I do not believe that's a possibility.
It is possible that he just feels the pressure from what happened, and now he's just trying to make up for it.
By the way, I have such fucking PTSD from watching like 83 Mid-South and 93 WCW that whenever somebody gets thrown over the top rope, I have like I can feel my brain starting to produce the anger chemical, and then I remember that it's okay, that it's not a problem here.
The funny thing is, I thought that was a rule here, because I even know, like, wasn't that a disqualification? But it never got mentioned, so I guess not.
Yeah. But anyway, this was dumb. I don't know.
Yeah. And the disrespect to Primetime Brian Lee is just going on and on, because like he doesn't get an entrance. The show closing promo isn't about him. And yeah, like this guy's just this guy's seen better days here.
You know, I would not be at all surprised if he does something drastic soon to reflect his frustration with the way he's been treated in this company.
Well, speaking of people who are frustrated about the way they're treating this company, Tammy Fitch has decided until the last 30 seconds of the show to show up at the announce desk, and she's got a guest with her. Let's go to her and Bob Caudle.
With us right now, Tammy Fitch and Robbie Eagle, and Tammy Fitch is the young lady that brought the sexual discrimination suit against Smoky Mountain Wrestling, right?
That's right. You know, I think I finally figured out what's wrong, okay? I studied psychology up at Wellesley College, and we saw that boys will be boys. If a woman comes along that's smarter than them, they feel inferior and they just can't handle it. So Robbie here has decided that he'd help me convince some of the boys that letting me manage them would be the only thing that would improve their careers. And in return, I told him I'd go out with them.
What about that? So you're going to do that, huh? Boy, isn't she cute? Yeah. Hey, well, what about, would you manage him?
Are you kidding?
Robbie Eagle and Tammy Fitch fans.
Poor Robbie Eagle. He's just not having a good day here. But he got to hang out with the smoking hot blonde for 30 seconds, so there's that.
Okay. I have several observations to make about this segment. The first being, they have to reiterate every time we see her that Tammy Fitch is the one who filed the sexual discrimination lawsuit against SMW. Because I guess if they didn't, we might get confused and think it's one of the other women on this show.
Oh my God, did you hack into my computer? Because that is almost word for word what I wrote down. I said we're going to confuse her with the other smoking hot blonde on the show.
We're gonna confuse her with the cute girl that's in the SMW merch video package.
There you go. We're gonna confuse her with Pam Lawson.
So now, first of all, I was befuddled with what could she possibly want with this dork who not only gets pinned every time we see him, got pinned earlier on the show.
Yes.
And then I was even more confused after the explanation, because what the fuck is Robbie Eagle gonna do to convince the guys who beat him every week that they should let this woman manage them?
Well, I'll try to come up with an idea here. So it makes her more trustworthy to, the locker room, because now it's not just, nobody likes her, nobody trusts her. Now somebody who we may beat his ass every week on TV, but this is a person who wrestles with us every week. He goes from town to town with us every week. And so if he can trust her, maybe we can let our guard down just a little bit.
Huh. And my final observation was, what the fuck was this segment?
We had an extra 40 seconds because Bob Armstrong went short, I guess.
I mean, they had to get Tammy on the show, because if they didn't, we might forget that somebody filed a sexual discrimination lawsuit against Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Yes. I would like to say the court system does not move that quickly. So the fact that they're so quick to try to get this settled just shows that there is sexual discrimination. Because in reality, this company will be out of business before that thing would even go to court.
You know, you're right. I hadn't thought of that angle, but you're right.
So, I mean, to be fair, Pam Lawson is the only woman in the company, and she doesn't really count because I don't even know if she's really with the company yet.
I don't even think so. I don't think that's till later.
Well, at some point,
we talk about her every week like she is, but I don't know. I don't know that she actually is yet.
Well, she has to be there by February because in the angle where the Thrill Seeker signed a contract, she's one of the people standing in the back room.
Really? Oh, that's fantastic. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So at some point between now and February, she gets hired. She may or may not have an office in the bank building where she may or may not be fucking Tim Horner.
And not fucking... We don't mean fucking Tim Horner the same way we say fucking Tim Horner every week.
No. She found this man attractive.
Well, you think it was the mullet or the long white object in his trunks?
I think it was the flaccid white object in his pants that he would pull out to beat up old men with.
Can you imagine if Pam had met George Weingroff?
She would have had no use for Tim Horner.
Absolutely not.
Do you think Tim Horner gave her the natural bridge?
I bet he did things both natural and unnatural to her.
Do you think Tim Horner's pregnant wife ever found out?
You think she goes on YouTube and listens to Jim Cornette's podcast clips?
Imagine if she went out to YouTube and listened to this show.
Oh, yeah. Hello, Mrs. Horner. Hope you enjoy the show.
Are you still married?
Maybe she's...
Are you still married to Tim?
Maybe they're divorced, or maybe like they've just been married for 30 years and she deeply resents him, and she spends her free time on YouTube just looking for obscure podcasts that bury him.
Well, Tim Horner's kid now is like 30 years old. What do you think Tim Horner named his son? It has to be something like plain and vanilla, like, because, Tim Horner cannot have somebody with an exciting name. Maybe he named him Jim.
Bill. Warren. That's a good boring name.
Barry.
Baron. Man. Lucky he didn't become a wrestler. Can you imagine a wrestler named Baron? Would be the most boring fucker ever.
Well, to be fair, I said Barry, but Baron would work too.
I heard the same name both times. What'd you say, Barrett?
Barry. Barry.
Barry.
Yes.
Oh, well, Barry is short for Baron and Barrett.
Is it?
His name is Baron Barrett Horner, and he goes by Barry.
We apologize to Tim Horner's child, who may or may not be a son, by the way, because I don't even know if it was a son, just that he had a child.
I hope it was a son. I'd somehow feel worse about it if if we'd been belittling some poor woman who, I don't know why it makes a difference.
So do you think the child is actually Pam's child, that they somehow snuck out of her uterus and put it into Tim's wife?
What if it's not Tim's at all? What if it is George Weingroff's?
Oh my God. Swerve.
Swerve when I drive.
See, thank God for Swerve Strickland, because now when you hear Swerve, you don't immediately think of Vince Russo.
I will be forever grateful for
Yes.
Swerve for removing that association from my brain.
By the way, 71 down, 129 to go. Can you believe that we're going to have 129 more episodes like this one?
This might be the worst one.
We're doing this when the shows are good. Wait until the doldrums of the death of Smoky Mountain when we're just trying to fill time. Think about how that's going to be.
Why don't you tell us what else is going on in the wider world of wrestling this week?
So the main story this week continues to be Vince McMahon giving the presidency of the WWF to Linda. Some people are making a really big deal about it, but it appears that at the end of the day, it was just a formality since Linda had always run the business side of things and Vince ran creative. So it made sense for Linda to be the quote-unquote president of the company.
Sure.
Now, did you figure out who never, ever, ever wrestles again?
Was it Jumbo Tsuruta?
It was Jumbo Tsuruta, who announced this week he would never, ever wrestle again. And in his case, never wrestles again lasts about 4 months.
Yeah, he was because I remembered that 93 was about the time he became ill, because that was that was when the feud that had been carrying All Japan for like the last 3 years, just the feud between what was Misawa's group, the Super Generation Army and Tsuruta Gun, just kind of petered out, and that was when Kawada left the Super Generation Army and formed the Holy Demon Army with Akira Taue, because they had to get a new feud going because their top guy was out.
So different top guys out than when FTR does it.
Different association altogether, although they're top guys all around.
By the way, Holy Demon Army is a tremendous name.
Absolutely. It's the only one better was the team of Dr. Death and Terry Gordy, the Miracle Violence Connection.
That's a great name too. Gotta love Japan sometimes.
I love Japanglish.
The final big news is the forbidden door has opened. WCW has invaded the WWF. Vinny Vegas has shown up and has cost Marty Jannetty the Intercontinental title. Shawn Michaels is the new champion, and now Vinny Vegas is on Raw and will not have his match at Clash of the Champions. Who was it against? Was it against Tony Atlas that we said he was supposed to wrestle?
I have no idea.
He was supposed to wrestle somebody at Clash of the Champions. Oh, I think it was Van Hammer. It was Van Hammer. It would have been like the greatest bad match of all time.
I just watched Slamboree 93 the other day, and I was really hoping Van Hammer was going to disappear for a while after he got squashed by Sid. I guess no such luck.
Now, did you note while watching it that it was that Omni with Larry Labisco on commentary?
It was Larry Labisco at the Omni in Atlanta. Yeah, I did note that.
It's important that we cross promote all of our shows here. So I think now I can't imagine.
I just want to say, while I have the chance, that Van Hammer is an all-time terrible wrestler.
He's not a jam-up guy.
No, I've been watching 93 WCW Saturday nights. He is the drizzling shits.
Oh God, it's funny because like his only good match ever was that Falls Canadian match with Cactus Jack.
Yeah, imagine that.
Shockingly, You can have a good match with Cactus Jack.
Mick is one of those guys, but especially this Mick, how fucking hard he worked, is like, if you can't have a good match with Mick Foley, you suck.
Apparently, and I didn't mention this last week, but when I was scanning through the Observer a few weeks ago, the original plan for the Cactus Jack amnesia angle was for him to come back and still be a heel because he forgot that he turned babyface.
I haven't gotten to they haven't started the Lost in Cleveland segments yet, unfortunately.
Yes,
Cactus. I hope I'm gonna get caught up, maybe, I don't know. I'll get caught up one day. I'm still about 2 weeks behind of where we are in the Smoky Mountain and the other stuff.
Oh no, how could you?
Well, finally, I watched the N1 Victory final today, so I've got that. There's the G1's over, the N1's over, which just my luck. New Japan tour starts again this weekend, but it's not going to be a heavy commitment like the G1, so maybe I'll have time for other stuff.
So you're not going to sit around and watch the Road 2 series?
No, I absolutely am. I just I don't know. Seems like less of a commitment when it's just kind of underneath tag matches.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think we've gone between the regular show and the pre-show. We've gone almost 2 hours. I think that's enough time for tonight. We can tap out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that does it for this week's show. Do you have anything else you want to say before we call it a night?
I apologize for how fucking terrible the show was. It was like an all-timer as far as going off the rails, and like the most awkward silences that we've had since like the first couple of shows before we kind of found our rhythm. I don't know. The deal may have been we had a whole conversation about what a bad mood I was in before the show started. So maybe I just wasn't with the program today. And
see, I didn't look at it like bad awkward silences. I thought like we had a couple awkward silences, but it worked, in the scheme of what was going on.
Yeah. I feel bad about it, but to be honest, it's probably going to happen again.
Probably. Well, that's going to do it for this week. I want to thank everyone for listening, and we'll talk to you again in 7 days.
Bye.